Hey guys, it's HarleyWood. Welcome back. All right, first and foremost, everything you're gonna see today is unloaded and it is safe. I posted a video on this firearm recently, all right? I'll post a card right up here on the screen if you wanna go watch it. This is a pretty highly customized, what started out as an X macro, a SIG P365 X macro. But on here, I went with the TLR 7 sub from Streamlight. And I got a lot of questions on what is the difference between the 7 sub, the 8, what is the 8A versus the 8G? Well, I have pretty much all of those. Now, in full disclosure, I have purchased myself everything that I'm gonna show you today with the exception of, which one? With the exception of this 8 sub, all right? So I reached out to Streamlight when I was thinking about doing this video and I said, hey, the only one I don't have is the 8 sub. Would you mind sending me out one? And so they did send me this version here to include in this review. But other than that, I've purchased all of this stuff myself and I'm gonna show you some of the differences between these today. All right, let's start off with the one that's probably the most popular, and that would be the TLR 7A. So this one comes in that really, really hard to find FDE color. Every once in a while, you'll find it available on Amazon especially. I'll post links in the description below to all of these in case you do want to get one of them. Sorry, I had to go take down the wind chimes. It's a beautiful spring day, but they are making way too much noise. All right, the TLR 7A. So this is kind of the flagship on this lineup, all right? It's probably one of the most popular ones, and there's a few things that you should know about this lineup before you invest in one of them. So all of them in this lineup that I'm gonna show you are 500 lumens, okay? And that is pretty much what I would consider a bare minimum for a weapon-mounted light, all right? Now, for interior, for close quarters, home defense, things like that, that's actually gonna be pretty perfect. You get up into the 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 lumens, that splash, especially if you light that thing up and it comes off a bright white wall, probably gonna compromise your night vision. So 500 lumens is kind of a sweet spot. Now, that said, this will still allow you to illuminate out. I'll show you some nighttime footage. This will still allow you to illuminate out to about 50, 60, 70 yards. Much past that, you start to lose the ability to kind of get positive ID on anything. And so I would say 25 yards is probably your sweet spot. You can stretch it out to 50 if you really absolutely had to, but it's mostly intended for kind of a close quarters, especially indoors weapon light. All right, here we go. This is the TLR 7. Now, if you're new to my channel, for frame of reference, that barn building that you see back there is 61 yards from where I'm standing, and it's 14 feet tall at the peak. So it kind of gives you an idea of the size of the hot spot, if any, when I'm doing these flashlight reviews. Again, 61 yards from where I'm standing. This is 500 lumens. Let me move that out of the way. And this is a Phoenix light at 1,000 lumens. So you can see a little bit brighter. It's got a little bit more pronounced hotspot. I just wanted to give you kind of something for comparison. Let me bring the Streamlight back in. That is 500, and that is 1,000. 500, 1,000. Now where this really comes into play, again, this is the Streamlight. Let me move that out of the way. And if I zoom in back here, way back there, see that white spot way back there in the woods? Where's my finger? Right there, that white spot way back there. That is a steel target at 107 yards. Now I can see it with the candela and the additional lumens on this Phoenix light here, but if I move that out of the way, can't really get out there with the Streamlight. Again, this is not meant for, you know, lighting something up at 50, 60, 70 yards. This is more of a self-defense light. It's more for close applications. Most likely with a pistol, you're not going to be shooting at something 101 yards away, but not bad on the barn at 61 yards. Now, all of them mount onto the rail of your firearm using this clamp on the top here. So you can see there's a bolt on the side here that I've already backed out, and it is spring loaded, and you can see it's pushing out the clamp on the other side. So once you mount this up to the rail, you would tighten this bolt down, and typically you can see that it's a slot there and it's a little bit recessed in the middle. Actually, the bottom of a bullet casing fits perfect in that and allows you to really torque down on it. But if I go ahead and remove that bolt there, so I'm just gonna slide that out, take that clamp off the other side. Right here is what they call a rail key, all right? If I take that out, you can see it's a small plastic insert, and there are several different rail keys that typically come with this, and they plug and play right into the kind of the slot structure underneath here. And what they do is they give you this little notch here that fits up into the various style pick rails, all right? So on this particular Icarus frame, for example, this is a 1913 pick rail. And with all of your Streamlights, you're gonna get an instruction sheet that basically tells you which pick rail to use for which application of firearm, which rail key to use for which application of firearm. Now, the funny thing is, on this TLR7 sub here, you'll notice it doesn't actually say SIG on this one, okay? So this is obviously not a frame from SIG, but I knew this was a 1913 style pick rail. And if you look real closely on this 7 sub, it's probably really hard to see, but printed real tiny up there on the clamp, it says 1913S, okay? So on this sub model, there are several different versions of it depending on the type of firearm you want to put it on, all right? So for example, there's one dedicated for the P365. Now that is the factory P365 with its frame, okay? And there is a version of this that says SIG across the top of that clamp there, and that is the one that you would buy if you're doing this for a P365, for example. If you are unsure, I'm gonna post another link in the description below. There's like a configurator on Streamlight's website where you can pick the firearm and it will tell you exactly which one fits your firearm. In fact, you can see on this TLR8 sub, it says SIG right on the top there. So this one was built specifically for the factory grip module on the SIG P365. Now, if I open up this little bag here, this is everything that came with that 7 sub. So there is a installation tool. I'll show you what that's for here in just a second. And then here you can see some of those other rail keys, all right? And they're all numbered. So that one is 5, this one is 3. And then you'll also see that there's another set of switches. So this is a set of low switches. If I bring this back up, you can see the difference here. See the button interface on the back there? Well, on this firearm, you can see that that actually comes into the trigger guard just a little bit. So Streamlight gives you some options there, and they give you additional switches. This one has a very low swoop on it to keep it out of that trigger guard and doesn't have all that bulk up high like this one does. And that's part of the purpose of this little installation tool here. So they give you the punch so that if you need to punch out the pin and swap those switches out. But additionally, there's another piece on here. I don't know if you can see this, but right in here, there's actually a retention clip on the other side of that bolt. So that bolt goes through and there's like this U-shaped clip that snaps down on it. Well, this also helps you to install or remove that clip. And whenever you buy one of these Streamlights, the battery is included, all right? These are non-rechargeable CR123As. All right, and now the meat and potatoes. What's the difference between the 7 sub, the 8, the G, all of that. All right, so I already mentioned the 7A is kind of the flagship. So think of that as kind of the foundation that everything else I'm gonna show you is built off of. They're all 500 lumens, but this is the foundation. The 7 sub and the 8 sub were released not too long ago, maybe a year ago, a year and a half at this point. And basically they are for some of these smaller subcompact frames. The orientation of the mounting mechanism is set further back, and that's usually because you have much less pick space, rail space on those subcompact frames. So they reconfigured the mounting on the sub versions for those smaller frame pistols. Again, if you're unsure, go to their website, link in the description below, play with that configurator. It'll show you exactly which one you need for your particular application. All right, so we saw the 7A. This is the 8A. When you get into the 8 series, it's exactly the same as the 7, but this one has a laser. I know it's really hard to see, but there you go. Now you can kind of see the laser. And you can switch back and forth between the different modes. So right now it's laser only. You'll see there's no white light on there. If I hold one button and press the other one, now it's white light and laser. And I know it's really hard to see this close up because the white light kind of washes the laser out, but the laser dot is right there. Or you can go white light only, hold one button, click them both, and now the laser is off and it's solely white light. So again, you have 3 different modes to choose from: white light only, laser only, or both. And then we have the 8AG, all right? It's exactly the same as the 8A, but with a green laser, all right? So for various applications, again, I'm no master in, kind of how the eyes work and everything, but I know some people pick up the green easier. Some people say the green is easier during the day, various conditions. So they do make a green laser option version. That is the 8AG, G for green. And then lastly, the 8 sub, all right? So almost identical to the 7 sub, but again, keeping with the 8 series, the 8 has an integrated laser. And again, I can cycle through them. And so there you can see this is a sub model, but with the red laser. And when you buy a holster for one of these, you gotta know exactly which one the holster is made for, all right? To give you an example, the 1913 version of the 7 sub will not necessarily fit the same holsters as the SIG version of the 7 sub, all right? I actually bought the SIG version first. It didn't fit the holster that I had ordered, and so I had to get the 1913S version. So make sure that you are confident which one you need for the various holster applications. So tons of different options to choose from. I'm gonna put links in the description below to all of these. If you do still have any questions, please hit me up in the comments down below. Happy to help answer those questions. And Streamlight, when they sent me that 8A sub, they also sent me something else pretty cool. We're gonna be reviewing that in the next couple weeks. So make sure you're subscribed, all right? And additionally, I do a ton of giveaways on this channel. Now, I can't promise that I have a Streamlight one coming up, although I also can't rule it out. There's a link in my description below to my newsletter. I don't spam you, I promise. You enter the newsletter, and when giveaways go live, I notify everyone by sending out an email to that newsletter. That's it. So there you go, guys. That is kind of the lineup of the Streamlight TLR 7 and the 8s and the A's and the G's and the subs. I know a lot of designations there. I was getting a lot of questions about it, so hopefully that helps to clear some of it up. If you like this video, guys, do me a favor. Give it a like down below. It helps this video show up in more of the search algorithms. As always, I appreciate your time watching. Lots more content to come, and I'll see you in the next one.